Yeah. Life is like a box of chocolates.
Welcome to Hamburgers and Horror, the home of meat, monsters, and, well, in this case, I guess even more meat. I'm Noah Hook, and today we're looking at The Midnight Meat Train. This 2008 horror film follows a struggling photographer hoping to make it big by capturing the city's dark underbelly. Leon's late-night excursions see him cross paths with a man he comes to believe is a serial killer using the late-night trains as hunting grounds. As he begins to follow the bloodthirsty butcher, Leon begins to lose himself in the subterranean horrors he uncovers. The Midnight Meat Train was directed by Ryuhei Kitamura, a Japanese director and screenwriter who has brought us films like Versus, No One Lives, and Godzilla Final Wars. He got his start working in Japan, but this was his Hollywood debut. The screenplay was written by Jeff Bueller of The Prodigy, Pet Sematary, and Studio 666, with this being his feature debut. The script was based on a short story of the same name written by Clive Barker, who we all know and love for films like Hellraiser and Nightbreed. Barker writes a lot of horrific short stories and packages them as anthologies called Books of Blood, and a ton of awesome films have been made based on them. Bueller's screenplay both expands on and drops certain elements of Barker's story, who is also a producer on the film. The Midnight Meat Train has a strangely star-studded cast, with Bradley Cooper from The Hangover, Silver Linings Playbook, and A Star is Born as photographer Leon, Leslie Bibb from Trick or Treat, Talladega Nights, and Law Abiding Citizen as girlfriend Maya, Brooke Shields from Alice Sweet Alice, The Blue Lagoon, and Suddenly Susan as stuffy art dealer Susan, Roger Bart from The Stepford Wives, Hostel Part 2, and Ghostlight as Leon's buddy Jurgis, and Vinnie Jones from Lock, Stop, and Two Smoking Barrels, X-Men The Last Stand, and The Big Ugly as Mahogany, the Butcher. Cinematography was handled by Jonathan Sala from A Good Day to Die Hard, John Wick, and Bullet Train, and the score was collaborated on by Robert Williamson from Gamer and Johannes Kobelik from Pathology. The film's ridiculous amount of practical gore effects and prosthetics were done by Matthew Mungle and Clinton Wayne of WM Creations from films like Beowulf, Red Dragon, and 10 Cloverfield Lane. Unfortunately, both Kitamura and Barker were really disappointed to have the film's premiere pushed back and completely downsized, with it only seeing 100 theaters during its runtime. The Midnight Meat Train was met with pretty positive reviews from critics though, who appreciated the dreadful atmosphere, dynamic action, and gruesome gore. Although there have been critiques of the film's almost comical tone at times, and the very unexpected ending for anyone who hasn't read the story. I've seen the film a few times now, but I remember my first time I was absolutely flabbergasted with the ending. Thank you to my patron Nitpicks for requesting it for me to review. I think this should be a fun one. If y'all haven't seen the film for yourselves, I'd recommend watching it before my breakdown, but you do you. This will be my last warning. But with all of that said, it's probably time we get started. Get your cameras ready, folks, because we're watching The Midnight Meat Train. The movie opens on a sleepy businessman who wakes to find he is the last person in his train car. Homie slips on a very big puddle of blood, and after struggling to get up, he peeks into the next car to see what's up. Inside, he glimpses somebody getting brutally beaten with a meat pounder, but we'll rejoin this guy later. Now we meet our protagonist Leon, an aspiring photographer who, dare I say, is very untalented. He returns home to his girlfriend Maya, complaining about his struggles to capture images that newspapers would be interested in buying. Maya has some good news for him though, sharing that she reached out to their buddy Jurgis about setting him up to meet with a famous art dealer named Susan Hoff. The next day he meets Jurgis at Susan's gallery, and he warns Leon that she is mean and horny. They meet with Susan, and despite her repulsive attitude, I have to agree with her disappointment in Leon and his cliché-ass artist statement.
What interests you?
The city, because no one's ever captured it.
not the way it really is.
She says he is failing, specifically due to the fact he isn't going far enough. Take this photo of a businessman almost being touched by a homeless guy, for example. What if instead of anticipating the moment, we actually got to see it? She tells him that when he finds himself in the heart of the city, stay for a while and keep on shooting, as that's when the good stuff will reveal itself. Despite his disappointment, Jurgis tells him that was actually a positive critique, and he admits to Maya that Susan was right about his work. That night, Leon dreams of a bloody subway, and he ventures out to capture the so-called heart of the city. Wow, Hispanic and black people. Nobody understands this city like Leon, y'all. He follows some men down into the subway, where of course they are trying to very publicly rape a woman. Leon gleefully takes photos until the woman notices him, at which point he speaks up. The lead gangbanger, yes, that's what he's referred to in the credits as, and his big-ass knife approach the picture-happy lunatic, and Leon points out a nearby security camera that is recording everything. That is just barely enough to keep Leon from being stabbed to death, and the dudes release the woman and leave. The woman, named Erica, thanks Leon for helping her and gives him an intense kiss before rushing off to catch the train. He snaps a picture of her as a beefy hand holds the door for her, and the train heads out into the night. Unfortunately for Erica though, she picked the wrong fucking train. Maya is super impressed with her boyfriend's documentation of a woman almost being raped, suggesting he show them to Susan. At the diner Maya works at, we learn Leon is a vegetarian, and he notices an article detailing Erica's disappearance. He brings his photos to the police with a suspicion that these men killed her, but Detective Hadley is more suspicious of Mr. Paparazzi and his voyeuristic story. Susan, on the other hand, loves these photos of attempted rapists and a currently missing woman, and invites Leon to join a group show she's curating. Well, that is if he can get 2 more pictures that are just as fucked up. Leon celebrates with Maya and Jurgis, but departs early to search for his winning shots. That night, a few business folks find themselves on the late train, but the 2 bozos don't listen when the third notices the train skipped their stop. The butcher approaches and immediately slams the eyeballs out of this guy's head. Everyone, I'd like you to meet Mahogany. Big Boy uses a meat hook into the next guy's nether region to yeet him into the ceiling, and Blondie slips on her husband's eyeball. Mahogany finishes the man with a head smash, and through the woman's POV we are dragged across the car and brutally beaten. Oh shit, make that beheaded. Leon is sitting outside a subway entrance as Mahogany is exiting, and he immediately takes an interest in the well-dressed public transportation enthusiast. Oh yes, let's follow him home, that sounds like a great idea. Mahogany quickly catches on to his antics, but Leon's able to weasel himself out of an ass-kicking. At least we know where he lives now. In his darkroom, Leon looks over his picture of Erica, this time realizing the hand holding the door for her has the same ring as the man he just encountered. Dun dun dun! The next day, Leon follows Mahogany as he heads to work, which of course turns out to be a meatpacking plant. Leon seemingly sits through Mahogany's 9 to 5 until he heads out, which of course leads back to the subway. But to Leon's surprise, Mahogany just sits there for several hours until the station is pretty much empty and the last few trains are running. He hops aboard with Leon fast on his trail, but the latter is stopped by a random cop who demands to search his camera for explosives. Ah well, probably for the best, as Mahogany's gonna have his hands full with this big guy who is apparently named Guardian Angel. He gets the upper hand with a sneak attack, but isn't able to land a killing blow due to some intense chest pain. Angel pulls a big ass knife and lands some solid punches, but Mahogany is able to use the knife against him. Angel kicks him down and stomps the shit out of him though, and the conductor begins to overhear the commotion. The 2 continue trading blows as he draws his gun to investigate, and Mahogany smashes his leg and hand with the mallet. But before the fight can truly finish, the conductor shoots Angel through the back of his head. He chastises Mahogany for his sloppy work and tells him to clean up the mess. That night, Leon gives Maya a sort of engagement ring, and this weirdly aggressive sex scene in this nasty diner is really gonna be the last decent moment these two have together. That morning, Leon has a nightmare that he is being butchered in a train car by himself, and we get a sneak peek into the life of Mahogany. He has a bunch of nasty looking skin tags that kind of resemble barnacles, which he slices off and keeps in a jar. There, take your medicine, Mahogany. Maya asks about the recent interest in some random fucking butcher, advising him to focus on gathering images for Susan. Yeah, Leon is not gonna do that. He follows Mahogany back to the meatpacking plant, this time cosplaying as an employee. Bro, what did you think was gonna happen? Leon flees further into the beef storage, where he is forced to play a little bit of hide and seek with Mahogany. His luck eventually runs out and he makes a run for it, narrowly escaping the meat hook. Back at the diner, Leon is acting a bit off, even trying a piece of Jurgis's steak and ordering one for himself. Maya is increasingly concerned over Leon's butcher obsession, which has progressed into a full-blown conspiracy theory. He has begun documenting all of the missing people in the city, and nearly every unsolved case has involved people who live in direct proximity to the subway. These are people who have never been found, as though they simply vanished. Leon believes Mahogany has been abducting people on the train and butchering them in the meatpacking plant, as there have been a few similar crimes reported spanning back over a century. He doesn't know if this guy's a vampire, a reincarnation, or a copycat, but he's certain he is a part of it. Maya tries to talk some sense into him, begging him to stop with the dangerous night shoots and go back to shooting what makes him happy. She even tries to distract him with a sexy photo shoot, but nothing can satiate Leon's hunger like his favorite butcher. He apologizes to her later at the diner, but just as he's ready to leave this behind, he notices Mahogany watching him from outside. He finally hops aboard the same train as the butcher, and he watches him from the following car. The big man buys a candy bar before the train pretty much empties out, which means it's time for meat. Leon watches as he massacres a couple of dudes, after which he strips them of their clothes, removes their teeth, eyeballs, fingernails, and hair, and finally hangs them upside down via meat hooks in their ankles. Mahogany is very happy to see you, Leon. He runs to the front of the train and begs the conductor for help, but Mahogany knocks him out. He wakes up hanging from his ankles, where some kind of creature hops aboard and carves a symbol into his chest. Leon wakes in a subway terminal, which just so happens to ascend into the meatpacking plant. He runs home and immediately locks himself away in the bathroom, where we get a better look at his new body modifications. He finally emerges and tells Maya what he has seen, and Maya does want to go to the police with this info. Unfortunately, his camera was taken, so the hard evidence is gone, and he frantically stops her from calling 911. He tells her he needs to rest up for his exhibition, and bro just takes a nap. But that doesn't mean Maya can just idly sit by. She recruits Jurgis to help her break into Mahogany's apartment, hoping to find Leon's camera inside. They wait for him to leave and manage to unlock the door, and Maya has Jurgis stand guard while she searches. She finds an array of butchery and surgical equipment, and Jurgis decides the search will go faster with both of them inside. Maya finds his lovely little lumps, but neither of the dummies realize that Mahogany has returned. Jurgis is overlooking his many identical suits when he finds Leon's camera, but he quickly realizes he isn't alone. Maya notices Mahogany's bag, which holds a bunch of late-night train schedules, but she doesn't realize it wasn't there when they entered. She almost walks right into Mahogany's trap, but fortunately has the smarts to make a run for it. Meanwhile, Leon's been enjoying some tubby time. Maya meets with Detective Hadley and her suspicious-ass necklace, who obviously doesn't believe her story. She claims the tenant won't press charges if he receives his album, aka the list of train schedules, back immediately, but she claims that Jurgis has it. Leon quickly gets bored of schmoozing the rich art collectors, preferring to continue his mission. Maya steals a handgun from the diner and leaves Leon a voicemail warning that the cops may be involved in this. That is until Detective Hadley emerges from the shadows. Maya pulls the gun on her and demands to know where Jurgis is, and Hadley gives her instructions on which train he'll be on. As Maya hops aboard, Leon arms himself with an array of butcher tools and armor. He heads into the abandoned terminal to wait for the train, but he is horrified to glimpse Maya on board. He uses his hook to attach to the rear car, and Maya makes her way to the slaughterhouse. Oh shit, Jurgis is alive! How you doing, buddy? Hanging in there? Mahogany overhears as she tries to free him from the hooks, and the poor queen turns out to be a terrible shot. Mahogany yeets the mallet at her and knocks her down, but before he can kill her, he is beckoned to by Leon. The boys get into an all-out brawl amongst the corpses, with the two trading a variety of blows and stabs. Maya actually lands a shot, but it appears his apron is bulletproof. Mahogany inadvertently causes one of the sliding doors to open, and Leon uses a severed arm to smack the shit out of him. We get some great shots from outside the train, revealing that any sort of infrastructure aside from the track is long gone. Leon takes a mean stab to the arm but manages to hold off a killing blow, but in the chaos, poor fucking Jurgis gets his belly sliced wide open. Leon grabs the mallet and the two briefly stalemate each other, but Leon gets the upper hand and knocks Mahogany flying out into the tunnel. He and Maya embrace as the train begins slowing down, stopping within a pitch-black terminal. The conductor emerges, and the two flee the train car as these lizard-looking motherfuckers hop aboard for their late-night snack. Bye, Jurgis. And hello, Mahogany. The boys continue their brawl on a pile of human bones, and as the two trade hits, Leon realizes that he is marked with the same symbol. Mahogany is about to win until Leon goes absolutely feral and beats the living shit out of him with a femur, finishing the butcher with a mean stab to the throat. Mahogany drops to his knees, uttering his first and final words of the film.
Welcome.
Leon double taps just to be safe, and the conductor tells him he no longer had what it takes. It was an honor and a privilege to serve, just as it will be for Leon. The conductor easily lifts him with one hand and proceeds to rip out Leon's tongue. Well, there go any chances of a happy ending. Oh fuck, he eats it too. Oh damn, Maya has been added to a pile of corpses too. Really not happy ending. The conductor gives us just a taste of exposition, explaining that these creatures existed long before man. A small order of humans hide them from the world, feeding them to keep order and peace. You'll understand soon enough, Leon, but first I have to brutally murder your wife. Dog rips the beating heart out of her chest and hands it to Leon. He doesn't even have a tongue. What's the fun in eating your wife's heart if you can't even taste it? We jump ahead sometime later where Leon has completely taken over the role of Mahogany. Detective Hadley returns the train schedule to him, and we rejoin the sleepy guy from the opening scene as the new Mahogany prepares to slaughter him. And that's the Midnight Meat Train. This movie is a wild ride. I have a few small issues here and there, but generally I really appreciate the big swings this movie takes. I will say the film is more style than substance, but damn, the amount of style on display here helps to make that less of an issue. Kitamura brings a ton of his J-horror and action sensibilities to this, with buckets of blood and loads of fight sequences to boot. If you're a gorehound, you'll absolutely love all of the practical effects on display here. There's also a lot of not so good looking CGI blood, but it doesn't bother me a ton as it kind of makes sense in this hyper stylized world. There are a few weird camera transitions and speed changes that feel a bit jarring, but generally the constantly moving cameras, voyeuristic angles, and intense zoom-ins make for a very dynamic viewing experience. If you enjoyed this kind of style and ultra-violence, I'd recommend a ton of Japanese films like Ichi the Killer, Meatball Machine, and Tokyo Gore Police. And this J-horror ultra-violence is just such a great addition to bring into a story inspired by the fucked up mind of Clive Barker. It obviously isn't Hellraiser level, but you're still getting some skin-crawly body horror here and there. Unfortunately, the ending is just a bit too half-baked for me. I'm all for a crazy left field twist, but these underground creatures just needed to be a bit more fleshed out. Just a teeny bit more about why Mahogany was sick, how many of these creatures are there, and how big this operation is would help the twist feel less jarring by the time the credits roll. Plus the creatures are really cool looking and we only get a glimpse of them. I also wish the whole critique of the art world wrapped around a bit better. Susan totally had a grisly death coming and just didn't happen. It really is so funny to me that this has such a recognizable cast. I know this is right before Cooper really blew up with The Hangover, but this just is really different than the kind of roles I associate him with. But between him, Leslie Bibb, Brooke Shields, and Roger Bard, you're getting very consistent performances throughout the film. Vinnie Jones isn't usually regarded as a great actor, but I think he turns in an effective performance as Mahogany through facial expressions and body language. And the film itself took the time to insert some genuine laughs in between all of the violence and depravity, which I think was really necessary to keep it from being too bleak. And given the content of the film, that is a pretty impressive balance, managing to be grisly, depressing, and fun at the same time. All in all, The Midnight Meat Train is a really unique and offbeat horror film. It's more concerned with making us queasy than truly scared, but it still has some solid moments of suspense. It has a great cast, fantastic practical effects, exciting cinematography, and a truly bizarre mystery that works well the first time and during a rewatch. It's a bit tonally inconsistent and there aren't many characters to root for, but there is more than enough style and flair to make up for its gaps. Thank you again to my patron Nitpicks for requesting The Midnight Meat Train for me to review. This was a very fun one to revisit. But what did y'all think of The Midnight Meat Train? Let me know down below. Well, that's about it. Join me in 2 weeks as we check out Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. As always, I'm Noah Hook, and thanks for watching Hamburgers and Horror. Stay safe out there. Thanks for watching my review of The Midnight Meat Train. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe so you can keep up with all my horror reviews. And if you want to help support the channel further, you should check out my Patreon account. You'll be able to vote for future movies and franchises I cover on the channel. Thanks, y'all.